Wow. Hi, guys. It's Mark Zickery, Mr. Sci-Fi. And this is the live stream at our studio, and I'm going to be giving you a tour of it. It's pretty amazing. Our team's been wiring stuff up, and it's fairly spectacular. I think you can see some of the spacesuits behind me, some of the consoles. We'll be getting into all of this stuff. It's going to be a great time had by all. Again, our Kickstarter campaign is about $1,000 shy of the 60,000 we need. We've got 3 days left, and want to make sure we really kick over beyond 60 grand, because if we don't, someone could pull it out at the last minute, we'd go below 60 grand, we'd lose all of it. And that would be such a shame after this month of working and trying to get stuff to happen. So that's all depending on you. And I appreciate everything you do and are, of course. And so, hi, Ziggy, glad to see you. I just mentioned we've got the Kickstarter campaign. We're here at the studio. And in a few minutes, I'm going to be giving you guys a tour of the studio. It's pretty amazing. And let me tell you about the philosophy. Right now, I'm in Studio 2. We have 3 studios. We have 2 this size and one that's much larger for the alien spaceship set. And we have a couple more days shooting with a creature, the 2 creatures on Space Command Forgiveness. Then we go right into Great Solar War. That's why we're wiring all these consoles up, because we have a ton of spaceship sets, different spaceships in that episode, and it'll be super fun to use as much of this stuff as possible. Now, with Space Command, I've always had a lot of original designs done that we've built from. Hi from Scotland. Wow, welcome. And we're going to be giving a tour of the studio in a moment. But basically, the philosophy of Space Command, beyond the meaning of it, compassion, reaching out to others, building a future worth living in. Uh, there's a production philosophy too, which is hi guys, hi everybody. The production philosophy has always been make it look a lot more expensive than the money we have, and we've been able to do that to a spectacular degree, I think, because of my background. Because I knew from writing the Twilight Zone Companion, Rod Serling had used everything at MGM. I used a ton of stuff from Forbidden Planet. When I was a producer on Sliders at Universal, we used stuff from 12 Monkeys and Jurassic Park, and uh, on and on, just you name it, Time Cop, and etc. And so I knew that one could acquire. Hollywood has a habit of getting rid of stuff after they spend millions of dollars making it, and this was true all the way back to the early days of cinema. And definitely, I was at the MGM auction in the 1970s when I was a kid, just seeing them sell off everything they had. It was just amazing. But worse than that, they would throw out stuff. They would destroy stuff. Now, often they'll give it to auction houses, and I can get stuff for pennies on a dollar that we can then use to augment the the sets that we build. And so I'm going to basically give you a tour of what we have here. It's pretty amazing. And then what I'll also do is, I'll mention we're still selling Space Command shares. Someone just contacted me about 2 more shares. You get a percentage of my producers' net profits on 4 episodes of Space Command. So we sold out the first 4. We're now selling out the middle 4, and then we're also starting to sell shares in the final 4. And the fact that we have 2 distributors who want Space Command now, the fact that we're going great guns, the fact that 3 million people have seen the first 2 hours of Space Command on my YouTube channel, more than 3 million, and we um, uh, we have 97% thumbs up. Ian Dennis says hi from Germany. Rest in peace, Robert Butler. I guess Robert Butler just passed away. He was an amazing guy. I interviewed him. I knew him. He directed episodes of Twilight Zone and also the first Star Trek pilot ever made. And I'm sorry to hear that he has passed. That is a shame. He and I actually did an event at the Museum of Broadcasting where I showed the Star Trek episode I did with George Takei, and we screened the pilot that he directed, and that was great fun to hear him talk about it. So, but why don't I start giving you a tour? Let me see what I can do here, and let's see if this works. Okay, so now here we are. Now, if you look directly behind me, you'll see a number of spacesuits. You'll see the giant robot. You'll see consoles from Ender's Game. Let's see if I can angle this right. Yeah, there's one. There's 2 of them. Let's see what we'll do. I think what we'll do is we'll start at the very beginning of our little tour here. And feel free to ask questions as we go. Upstairs is our wardrobe department. There's, and over there is the office where we do the fulfillment of all the stuff. So as I mentioned before, that's the whole studio, our green screen stage, all this stuff. And so I've been acquiring sets, props, costumes, spacesuits from different famous science fiction movies, which we then redress and use in Space Command. There's going to be spacesuits and human spaceships and alien spaceships and tons of stuff in Great Solar War. This is Studio 2. We have Studio 1 where we build stuff, and Studio 3, which is much larger than this, where we have the alien spaceship set that you'll be seeing in Forgiveness. Uh, what am I? Yeah. So what I was saying is I'm mentioning that now we're at our studio. So I'm going to give you a tour of the studio because I've been acquiring sets and set pieces to augment and make wonderful the rest of the season of Space Command. I've been acquiring these things for several years now, deliberately toward that purpose. And so let's just start over here. And I will show you. I'll go around everything step by step. Down here, let's see if I can angle it right. There. We'll get it. We'll get it, guys. Or maybe I'll just do this. Ugh, weighs a ton. This is a space helmet from Pluto Nash, and I now have the entire spacesuit and the backpack. Really cool. Over here is a spacesuit from Firefly and Serenity. The helmet is actually store-bought. I just got it from Spirit Halloween store at half price because it was after Halloween. Bought a bunch of that stuff. Over there is a spacesuit, another spacesuit from Pluto Nash, not the one that I'm going to be putting, the Eddie Murphy one, which I now own, or he wore. But that's a spacesuit from Pluto Nash, a science fiction comedy that Eddie Murphy did. The helmet is from a Jerry Lewis comedy called Way, Way Out, where he and Connie Stevens go to the moon. And it's a really funny comedy I saw when I was a kid. Maybe it's not so funny now, but but again, you can see the detail that they put into designing this stuff, making this stuff, and then they just kind of, forget about it. So now over here is a spaceship console from Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. It all lights up. We've used it in Forgiveness. We're going to use it again. Very, very cool. Now let me go over here. This is a spacesuit and helmet from the movie Outland with Sean Connery. Again, we're going to be redressing all this stuff, using it in Space Command, just like they did for Twilight Zone, just like they did for Outer Limits. You acquire things and then you utilize them in different purposes. So, for instance, an alien that was built, designed and built for Outer Limits, was reused in the pilot of Star Trek, The Cage, where we see different aliens, and one of them sort of this bird-like alien, and that was actually made for Outer Limits. So there you go. Now over here is a wall with what's called a translight. You light it from underneath, and that's from Ender's Game. So pretty great. Now over here is one of our glorious pieces that we've just been getting wired up. This is a command console from Jonathan Frakes' Thunderbirds, and this will be our faster than light drive in Great Solar War, and it's just gorgeous. I'll show you how some of it works. Let me again angle it, but you can see when you bring these throttles down, the lights go off. You bring them up, they go on. It is just gorgeous, just gorgeous. We shipped it over from England, which cost a pretty penny, And but again, we're giving a tour of Studio 2 at Space Command Studios. I've been getting this stuff all wired up for Great Solar War. Our Kickstarter campaign, which is listed just below, is $1,000 short of hitting 60. So, and by the way, one of our perks is you get to be in Space Command and wear one of these spacesuits. And so that would be very cool. That would be a memory forever. So I urge you to go do that. And I love spacesuits, always have. Now, this is something I just acquired from, I think it was from Jupiter Rising. It was a TV show. It's a battle suit. If you look, you can see how cool it is, but it will retool it as sort of a heavy-duty spacesuit, construction suit or whatever, and put a helmet on it, a matching helmet. Next to that is an alien suit from the Chigs, the head and the body, from Space Above and Beyond. So pretty cool. So again, this is stuff that no one is doing this at all. They all are just kind of doing with the budget they have and not trying to augment it. When this stuff costs, I mean, right now I'm standing in a room where all of these spacesuits and all of these consoles cost multiple millions of dollars to make, and I got them for pennies on the dollar. So pretty remarkable. In some cases, I've actually been reuniting the helmet with the suit that it goes with. I've done that now with Pluto Nash and with Red Mars. We'll show you that in a minute. But here's the Chig suit, and it's an alien. And if you saw Space Above and Beyond, you know what that is. And then this, interestingly enough, was used for the Carol Burnett show, and gold lame, so it's probably Bob Mackie design, and very, very fun. And it has an Electrolux vacuum cleaner, an old style vacuum cleaner, as its breathing pad. Very, very entertaining. This escape pod here lights up. We don't have it hooked up right now, but it was used in Ender's Game, and we used it in Forgiveness, in Space Command Forgiveness, which you'll see very, very soon. Now let's go over here. Now over there on the far side, that yellow spacesuit is actually a 2001 replica spacesuit that was made for a commercial but not ultimately used. We're going to be cleaning it up, fixing it up. The helmet is from a French thing set on Mars, a documentary, but that won't be the final. The final will be replicating the backpack and chest pack and helmet from 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's one of my favorite spacesuits, one of my favorite movies, and I just love it. Now this next to it is from Aliens. If you remember that, it was actually originally used in Outland, then retooled for Aliens. When the salvage crew finds Ripley in hibernation, they say, "Well, there goes our salvage rights." That was from that. Absolutely cool. Yep. Yeah, exactly. You're right, John Areno, El John Areno. These things cost a lot, and we've made some from scratch, and we have more designs to come. But it's going to be so fun because again, when you want to populate a universe, variety is what makes that work. It's not like Logan's Run where everyone's wearing the same pastels. Blade Runner was really the one that showed the way, because in Blade Runner we saw, oh, there's retooled old cars, there's Hasidim, there's Hare Krishnas, and so it was a continuation of our world with all of its variety. And so the more you have variety, the more you have different things and different looks, the better. And so it's just really, really fun to do, and I love it. And it's just neat when you see someone walking in the background wearing like a Forbidden Planet uniform or something. So now these chairs are from the remake of Total Recall when they go through the center of the Earth. Now, if you look, there's these things that go over the body. And I just found from our team, first of all, these chairs weigh 800 pounds. And I said, well, they must do something, because if they weigh 800 pounds, it doesn't make sense that they would be, not doing something. Turns out they're powered by air. They're pneumatic. And so we have to rig them with air compressors and so forth. And then they'll work, just great. So we're using these as an escape pod in Great Solar War. And so again, because I know where we're going in the entire season, I know what stuff we're going to need. So I design a lot of it. I look for things that can augment that. I'm years in advance in terms of what I need to acquire. So that's why I'm able to fill a room with all this stuff, because it's just so great. Now, and let's see, any other questions, guys? What I'm reading right now. I'm reading a bunch of stuff. Gosh, there's a detective series set in a World War II that the Nazis won. It's set in London. It's not Fatherland, but it's similar to that. And I'm reading there's the correspondence between Peter Hyams and Arthur C. Clarke when they did 2010. It's called the Odyssey Files. I'm reading that. Just finished reading the book on the making of The Music Man. Started reading a book on the making of Dune, David Lynch's Dune. And what else am I reading? Tons of stuff. I just have a pile of books. I'm reading a book about how New York, fell apart and became very, very gentrified and so forth. So, hi, Mazzo. Good to see you. We're giving a tour of the studio now. Now, we're $1,000 away on our campaign. Please pledge. I don't want to lose that 60 grand. We only have a couple days left. And also, two people just contacted me to buy 2 shares in Space Command. We're still selling them, $7,500 each. You get a portion of my producer's net profits. We now have 2 distributors who want Space Command, so um, I think it's going to go very, very well. And so if you've been wanting to buy those shares, now is the moment. Absolutely. Just email me at markzickery@gmail.com, and I will send you the paperwork. It's very simple. Answer any questions. Then you just sign a one-page document and send me the check or put it into the Space Command account. It never goes into my personal account. And then we can shoot more episodes. That's what this is all for. So, okay, continuing on with the tour. Any model ships. We have we have a lot of sets, and we have CG models of the exteriors. We are talking now. You can also buy physical models of the Paladin and of me and of Captain Jack Cameron via the crowdfunding campaign, the Kickstarter campaign, which is listed just below here. But we have been talking about doing physical models and shooting old style, and that's definitely in the talking stage right now. So now we also had a spacesuit contest a couple of years ago, and one of the categories was you make a spacesuit all from parts you buy at Home Depot for under $100 total. And so the winner came up with this cool design. It's not all assembled yet. It's a little thrown together, but in when it's put together correctly, it looks just great. Now one movie that I thought would be very useful for Space Command was Cloverfield Paradox. Basically, what's really great for my purposes is any science fiction TV show or movie that had great production design and tanked because they spent millions of dollars making things and nobody saw it. Or if they saw it, the stuff was just kind of in the background, thrown away, not used well. And so when Cloverfield Paradox aired on Netflix a couple years ago, I contacted J.J. Abrams and I said, what are you going to do with those sets? And he said, well, we've already gotten rid of them. I said, oh, man. But then it turned out they had been acquired by an auction house. And so I said, okay, we're in business. So I bought what I could afford. And so here is one of the consoles. This is the first time we've ever had this wired up. This is one of the consoles from Cloverfield Paradox. And it's hard to see with this little goofy camera, but if you look at the detailing, I mean, it's just fabulous. And these screens are going to be running graphics, and it's going to look really spectacular when we're all done with it. But here's, because when we get these things, they're not wired up. We have to rewire them and figure out how to make them work. But it's just, and they have, buttons and switches and, just all sorts of cool stuff. Just all of these things are so neat, and so it's like a mystery, and you figure out how to get it to work. And but this console, we're doing sort of the fleet command ship. Jack Cameron's fleet commander in Great Solar War, and so we're going to have a ship that's more like Battlestar Galactica's bridge for that, as well as smaller ships. So it's going to be really, really cool. So now we continue around, and this, of course, is our Space Command. One of the control consoles. We have two that are up front on the Paladin bridge, and so you can see we're spiffing them up and getting them working again. And this is Jack's command chair. It doesn't have the top piece right now. Let me angle it so you guys can see it. Yeah, there it is. We put a little thing that goes on the top that looks fun. This is actually a very elegant barber chair that I found online and bought and repurposed. Now over there, that little cryo chamber is from Electric Dreams, the Philip K. Dick anthology, and then this sleep pod is from the movie Passengers, and we've used it in Space Command Forgiveness as in a space station, a hospital that one of our characters is in. So it really was spectacular and works amazingly well. In the corner there is a spacesuit from the movie Red Mars, spacesuit and matching helmet, and some weird spacesuit that might be from Rocky Jones, a 1950s TV show. The helmet was a kid's space helmet that was for sale in the 50s. Now down here, we have a couple more Cloverfield Paradox consoles, two squat ones, and then a large one. And we've used these already in Space Command Forgiveness. We'll use them again. You just change the graphics on the screens. All of these video screens are going to be up and running. It's going to be spectacular. Just found this thing on eBay this incredible looking ray gun that somebody made for something. If you recognize it, let me know. But it's heavy as hell, and I think it was probably from the 50s from the look of it. But it's very very nice. And then over here another Cloverfield console, just really great stuff, you know. And then behind it are some more spacesuits. The one on the silver one, my mother got me when I was a kid. It was from Western Costume. It's a real Navy high altitude suit. I wear it in Space Command, and it was used in the Twilight Zone episode, The Parallel. Let's see. Uh, um, yes. So the question there's a question from Mel John Reno. Um, careful what button you push. Thank you, Clarence. I'll be careful. El John Reno says, "Can I ask how much gear you can just rent as needed? I mean, I assume the camera gear is rented, but any other physical stuff you can hire instead of buy." Yes, there are places where you can rent things. The challenge is that um, you can rent it, but if you need to do reshoots or if you need to redress it, there's a lot of limitations. And you know, these spacesuits are not hugely expensive. You just have to look for them and find them. I mean, some of these suits might be a few $100s, maybe $1,000 at most. I mean, it's not, you know, it's probably the cost it would be to rent some of these things for a day or two. Plus, I just like having the variety. I like having a thing where I can say, okay, let's do this and let's take that and let's put this actor in this suit and let's, you know, I mean, it gives me great creative freedom to have all of these things where we can just pull it together and bang, we're shooting. It brings our per day cost of shooting way down. And then also in terms of equipment, we own a Red camera, and also our DP has a camera, and so we rent some equipment when we're shooting, but we also have a lot. And a friend of mine who was on crew and had a lot of equipment, and he's retiring, he just gave me a ton of stuff, and just because, you know, he wanted it to go to good use. And so now this spacesuit right here, the one with the, let me see if I can get it. There we go. That one with the sort of gloves folded over the chest, that may be the most precious of all of these spacesuits. That was used extensively. It was made for Men into Space, a 1959 CBS series starring William Lundigan, and then it was used in Twilight Zone. It was used in the classic episode Death Ship, one of the greats. It was also used extensively in Twilight Zone, including Cold Hands, Warm Hearts, starring William Shatner. Just really a phenomenal piece of work. And again, this is one where I was able to reunite from two different sources, the helmet and the suit. And I'm very, very glad I was able to do that. Now, next to that is a suit from Jane the Virgin, of all things. And then I found a helmet from a company called Orbital Surplus. I think that might have been made for Ad Astra. I'd have to check. The giant robot, by the way, is from Real Steel, which is based on Richard Matheson's short story Steel. It was done initially as a Twilight Zone episode and then done as a feature years later. The feature's not as good. The Twilight Zone episode with Lee Marvin is better. We got it from someone who had bought it for a Halloween attraction, and then during COVID, he just wanted his backyard back. So we bought a ton of stuff from him. And Eric Rodriguez retooled the head. So okay, the studio's on fire. You have time to run in and get one item. What are you getting? Elaine. Elaine would be the thing I would grab and rush to safety. No two ways about it. So thank you for asking. Men into Space was a show, you know, sort of tried to be a very realistic space show set on the moon, and so it was an interesting attempt, but didn't hit that chord with viewers. Now again, these are the two seats and matching panels from Ender's Game. Very, very, very cool. And over here, we have another great looking panel from Cloverfield Paradox. All of those open holes will have working monitors with graphics, spaceship graphics. We're going to be having a contest very soon for spaceship graphics. If you know someone who would like to design spaceship graphics and get a credit on Space Command, or someone who's already been designing those things, please email me at markzickery@gmail.com. I'll be happy to talk to them. One of the things I plan to do with the giant robot, by the way, is rig it with AI where you can actually talk to it and it'll have a deep voice and you'll say, well, hello, Dexter, how's it going today? Very well, thank you so much. Are you going to kill humans? Well, I'm thinking about it, whatever. But it'll be very fun for it to light up and when it talks and all of that. So if anyone has that expertise where we can hook up a computer and a speaker and so forth and do verbal communication, let me know because we'd love to have you help us. And also over here, back there, I think it's a wall panel from Ender's Game that you can see right over there behind the robot. And then over here is the white spacesuit is from a show called Defying Gravity, and the helmet is actually a MiG helmet from the Soviet Union era. And then behind that is another movie. I think that was called Dark of the Moon, and Benedict Cumberbatch wore that. It's a steampunk kind of suit. And then next to it is a suit from the recent Lost in Space TV show, the remake. And the helmet is a Buzz Lightyear helmet that was sold to kids in recent days. So let's see what else. So here's another Cloverfield Paradox console. And again, you can fill a room with these and have them really, really cool. There'll be, of course, monitors with all the graphics on the sides and on the front. And it will be excellent, just excellent. And yeah, they did. They did, Mazo. They made Lost in Space. There have been three versions that I know of. There was the original one with Bill Mummy, who's also in Space Command. There was the movie, which was kind of sucky. I was trying to buy this command chair from the movie, but it's prop store in London, and it's like $600 for the chair, which is fine. It's made of metal, lights up, all sorts of stuff. But to ship it was something like 2 or 3 grand. And it's like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not going to do that. Any find Quint says, ever find any 2001 props? Well, we have the 2001 spacesuit over here that we're going to be re revamping and making look good and get the right helmet and backpack and chest pack. That wasn't made for 2001, but was copied by Orbital Surplus for a commercial that wanted that kind of a spacesuit. My friend Greg Jean had a 2001 spacesuit, an original, and helmet and backpack and chest pack, and that was just auctioned off for over $400,000 at Heritage Auctions. We lost Greg, I think last year he passed away. Wonderful, wonderful man. Built the city in Blade Runner, the mothership in Close Encounters. But yes, but then with Lost in Space, to get back to that, so they made a recent show on Netflix. It ran 2 or 3 seasons. You can find it if you just go on Netflix. It wasn't bad, it was. Um, the robot was an interesting design, and they had a lot of very interesting design stuff. The cast wasn't bad. It had Parker Posey, it had Bill Mummy in a sort of a cameo, though they should have used him a lot more. Um, I mean, Parker Posey played a female Dr. Smith, sort of a sociopath, and it was okay. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't memorable the same way that the original was. And it's just like the Schwarzenegger movie is kind of goofy, but you remember it a lot better than the remake of Total Recall. So that's you know. Did they go grid mark for the show though? That seems to be a thing since Battlestar's reboot. What do you mean? What do you mean? Oh, grim dark. It wasn't that dark. It was okay. I mean, it's just. But again, they didn't have a design that matched the original Lost in Space robot or any of that stuff. AJ Alred says, outside of stories from the Twilight Zone novelization of a few episodes of the Twilight Zone, I don't see novelizations of the show. That show is available. Have you thought about writing it? I'd buy it. Of which show? Twilight Zone. They've done. Rod did a number of novelizations. Then they had other writers do original stories that were published in various anthologies. In terms of Space Command, we have a graphic novel about to come out, and we also have comic books, and we also have a novelization of the first 2.5 episodes, more or less, and that's going to be coming out very, very soon by Maya Bonhoff, who's a Star Wars novelist. Um, with the cost of this, I can see why CGI is a major cost saving. Yeah, but the problem with that is that CGI often looks like the people aren't in the real space. The cool part of all this stuff is you can walk around, you can get all sorts of different angles. It's just alive in a way that CGI wouldn't be. And sometimes we use CG and we do set extensions and stuff, but we try and find a balance where we have some practical sets that are pretty cool, and then we have some CG sets as we need to. But it's case by case, and so. And by the way, there's nothing off topic. Um, uh, you know, it's just CG. I've seen some very, very good CG. We've had some shots in Space Command that I thought were very, very good. But, you know, you just try, you know, what I'm trying to do in Space Command, first of all, it has to have the storylines that are meaningful. It has to have the characters that we connect with, which I think we do. And but then I always wanted it to have a very big scope. So, for instance, in the first 2 hours, we have scenes on Earth, on Mars, out in the solar system, in the outer colonized moons of the solar system, on Titan, on Ceres. You know, it's just it has we have alien spaceships and human spaceships. I mean, there's a lot, and mining colony on Ceres, tons of stuff, and even more in Forgiveness, even more in the next story. So but yes, bad CGI. It's interesting. CGI gets dated in a way that models don't seem to. I mean, I really love the spaceship scenes in the original Star Trek, and of course, 2001 is amazing. But if you look at Babylon 5, some of those CG shots need a little bit of a dust up, a little sprucing up. Now, continuing with our tour of Space Command Studios, and again, if you want to buy Space Command shares for $7,500 each, where you get a portion of my producer's net profits, just email me at markzickery.com and I'll be happy to accommodate. Because now that we have investors, I mean, now that we have distributors who want to run with Space Command, one of them will take out redemption, sell it at con worldwide. That'll be great, immediate revenue. But for the rest of the season, the other distributor wants to wait until the entire season is done. So the more that I can finance production with and post production with selling investment shares and raising money on Kickstarter, the quicker we can get to where the show is out broadly in the world and generating revenue for our investors. Just a word to the wise. Additionally, our Kickstarter campaign is $1,000 away from hitting our goal. Please go there. We've only got 2 or 3 days left, and you know, be terrible to lose it all just because we're not on the ball. So okay, so continuing with the tour, here is another crowd console from Cloverfield Paradox. Here's another one from Cloverfield Paradox, and then over here, as you can see, that's the wonderful Tholian Webb spacesuit that William Ware Tice designed and made. It was used in the third season of the original Star Trek Tholian Web. And when we did the Sulu episode, World Enough in Time, which you can actually watch on Mr. Sci-Fi, with George Takei and Grace Lee Whitney and Majel Barrett Roddenberry and Christina Moses, among others, we used this spacesuit. We made this spacesuit for that episode, and then you can see I put a life mask of Leonard Nimoy in it, and it's super cool. And next to that is one of two spacesuits we have from Cloverfield Paradox, a great design, very complicated, and really neat. Let's see what else. Have you seen some of the demos of Unreal 5 for CGI? It's frighteningly realistic. Yes, Unreal. We've been looking at Unreal, and we'll see what that brings. You know, and again, by the way, if you know, visual effects geniuses, if you know 13-year-old kids who are just great with Unreal Engine, if you know kids who like to build spacesuits and ray guns and all of that stuff, or who want to just build spaceship interiors, send them my way, because we're very open to volunteers, and we also can pay, a reasonable amount for people. We can't pay big Hollywood studio rates, but we certainly can pay people for their hard work. And the more people we have who know what they're doing, the more the more we can get stuff done. So okay, there. Let's see, Tumblr. All the artists are hiding on Tumblr. Okay, there's an official demo on YouTube with Neo and Trinity in character. How fun! So okay, great. So continuing on, let's see. Up there, upstairs, is our wardrobe department, and tons more stuff up there. Space Command uniforms, you name it. But this is just basically, how I've been doing what I've been doing. So let me see. These are more chairs from the Thunderbirds movie. Let's see if I can get the angle right. Yeah, look at how cool those are. Um, so basically now what we're doing is we have 2 more days of shooting on Space Command Forgiveness with the creatures, and then we're actively in post-production now. We're generating visual effects shots. I just sent off the 2-hour rough cut of Forgiveness to all of our investors to let them know where things stand, and then we're writing the production draft of Great Solar War, Elaine and I, and as soon as that is done, we will be going right into production on that. So that will be absolutely aces. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. And then after that is the 2 hour that's a 2 hour episode, of course. And then after that is the 2 hour episode Empire, which I've already written. Armin Shimmerman will be in it, Ethan Phillips, our regular Space Command crew, and so forth. And it should be really one for the books. I even wrote a role for George Noory, who's host of Coast to Coast and a dear friend of mine. But we'll see if he is amenable to doing the role. But really, really fun stuff. And of course, we've been looking for a role to put some of the Farscape actors into. So it's there's a lot of cool stuff ahead, So let me see what else I can show you. Hold on, let me get here. It is my drink. I still have the little touch of the flu, but almost over it. So, but it's so much fun to see these things come alive. I mean, this Cloverfield paradox thing behind me, we call it Vader because it's so big and ominous, and you really can't see all the details because of the glare. But man, oh man, oh man, and that Thunderbird's console is just amazing, remarkable, and I mean, it's made of metal for God's sake, and it came in these big crates, and I mean, it's phenomenal, and I have zero problem with any of this stuff. I love all this stuff. And I should get Udo Kier for something. He's wonderful. I just watched Downsizing the other day, which is a film that did not do well commercially because I think people expected it to be Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and in reality, it's much more a social commentary, social satire. But I think it's a wonderful film, and uh, and he's great in it. Udo Kier and Matt Damon and Christoph Waltz. It's got a lot of great stuff in it. What did I think of Ad Astra? I think the end conclusion that there's no life in the universe beyond humanity was stupid, because I think it's patently obvious that life is ubiquitous, and we've just got to get somewhere where we can discover it. Because the thermal vents pretty much that was sort of game over. I mean, creatures that can live in that alien environment here on Earth, 200 degrees, all that stuff, sulfur, no light source, no energy. It's like the fact that life can adapt to that shows that life can live in much more varied environments than than we assumed. I think the moment we get onto any of those water moons in the outer planets, I think the time, when we really dig into the caves on Mars, we're going to find life. It won't be intelligent life, but it will be life, and then uh, we'll go from there. But I had a problem with that conclusion at the end of Ad Astra. I thought it had some great production value. Space baboons were kind of wacky. Okay, great, never saw that before. But but I thought spacesuits were great. I just got some I have some pieces from Ad Astra, some spacesuit pieces, and I just got some pieces from Armageddon, spacesuit helmet and backpack pieces. Yeah, I agree, Mazzo, absolutely. Um, it's an interesting question about will we discover intelligent life, because the real question is what is intelligent life? I think we tend to define it as technological life. In other words, life that can build machines like we can or better. I'm sure that exists out there, but what we don't know is the lifespan of a technologically advanced species, because we've only been this technologically advanced for what, 100 years or so, where we could send out radio signals into space, where we could drive around and fly around and all that stuff. So, we might have a shelf life of only a few hundred years as a technological species. We'll see. But, I think the universe is filled with surprising and amazing and wonderful and horrible stuff. So, let's see. Fleet Admiral Levy, hi again, says, I suppose I interpret it as intelligent life either doesn't exist or is predisposed to destruction. I like the cosmic horror aspect of that idea. Yeah, sure, fine. It's okay. I don't have a problem with that. It's it's just, I think, short-sighted. Like the Calvin and Hobbes strip said, the very fact that we haven't been visited is probably proof that there is intelligent life out there. Yeah, I like that. That's lovely. But I have no doubts that microbial life is probably everywhere, but technological life might take a while to get there. Yes, particularly because of the distances. we haven't really cracked faster than light at all. It's I think that's going to take us a while, and I think it's possible because we those are the rules of physics that exist within the universe, but there are other dimensions and all that stuff. So who knows? We'll see what happens. But and by the way, yes, my voice is coming back, not 100%. I have to call all my investors to remind them about the campaign and about buying more shares and another day, another dollar, as they say. But but man, it is I can't. But this literally is my toy box. This is a walk through my brain, and I can't tell you how thrilled I am to have this opportunity. It's like it took me. Here's the there's the console again from. You really can't see the details from this angle, but oh my God, it's gorgeous. That's from Thunderbirds, the Jonathan Frakes Thunderbirds uh, console, and our green screen, of course. Yeah, it's my cave. Yes, exactly. Yes. Or I have three caves. I have this one. Studio 2 is this. Studio 1 is next door to it. And then we have Studio 3, which is much, much larger, where the alien's ship is. Mazza says, glad you're feeling better. You seem really happy with all that history around you. Yes, I am. Blurry lens. Yes, you're right. Let's see if I can do anything about that. Uh, when in doubt, use your thumb. I probably need to get a better computer eventually. So if anyone wants to send me a new MacBook Pro, that's fine. I accept. I gratefully accept. It's uh, yeah, yeah, El John. We have to rewire and relight the consoles because they tend to strip it out. It's not standard practice so much as that they just kind of, when they're done shooting, they kind of pull the plug. They kind of, decommission it. So whatever's left is what's left. They really don't they're not looking toward it being a sustainable piece of equipment. And then also, in some cases, these things were built in England, uh, and so then again, it takes wiring to get them up and running again, changing the voltage, and then also in some cases, like for instance, the Thunderbirds console, like there's a bunch of switches and lights. Oh, where'd you go? Oh, there you guys are. Okay, there's a bunch of switches and lights, and just getting those to work here. Let's see if I can angle it so you can see them. Yeah, over here. There's just, they go on, you push the buttons and they go on and off, and all sorts of stuff happens. And yeah, like these ones, they light up, but they're not all running right now. And so, so that's, so we're finding replacement parts, and that isn't necessarily that easy. So hold on, cancel. There we go. So, but uh, but again, that's part of the job. So I find people who are science fiction geeks and who like to wire stuff and don't electrocute themselves, and then off we go. I'm Bonnie. Hi, Bonnie. Good to see you. Glad you're feeling better and regaining your voice too. Good health for you and Elaine. Thank you. I'm very much looking for when Elaine is walking, full speed again because she had a knee replacement. She over the last year and a half, she had both shoulders replaced. They're working fine, and then she had the knee replacement, which is taking a little while to get, you know, up to snuff. But we'll get there. So Kate Mulgrew said that when she was filming the last scenes of Voyager, they were unbolting the chair she was sat on as she was doing her lines. They don't always care about the stuff when done. Exactly. Well, in fact, when I was a producer on Sliders, the line producer would get a bonus of something like $15,000 if the show came under budget for the season. So I was the liaison between the fans on the internet and the show, and we were still in active production, and he disconnected my internet account, and it was like, well, I'm still he didn't care. It was all about they were literally carrying out my desk, so that's how it works. Because some people love this stuff. I mean, in general, the showrunners love it. So, uh, Mark Ferguson, Hawk Ostby from The Expanse love this. Narain Shankar, Rockneil Bannon, J.J. Abrams. They're like big kids. Who I mean, all Guillermo del Toro. I mean, these people take delight in all of these things: the props, the costumes, the sets, the magic, the make believe of all of it, and and so I find many kindred spirits uh, in my fellow writer producers and directors. So I don't, you know, hacks can be cynical. But those of us who are trying to do original and good work, or even better than good, we're not cynics. We can't be, because then you'll just do a shitty job, and why waste your time doing that? Let's see. The Bionic Woman. Yes, yeah, Elaine is. Uh, yeah. Well, Sliders again, Mazzo. Check out season 4. That's the season I was a producer on it. Chris Black was a writer on it, and so forth. It has a lot of great episodes. Particularly look at there's several I wrote that I'm very proud of. One is called Slide Cage, and the other is called World Killer. And I'm very, very proud of those 2 episodes. I think they came out really great. Um, did you, AJ Aldred says, did you ever see Eureka on the Sci-Fi Channel years ago? What were your thoughts? Yeah, Eureka. I never watched enough of it to really get into it hugely, but I thought it was a good show. It seemed to me like it was derived from a Twilight Zone episode called Valley of the Shadow, which is about sort of this hidden valley that has advanced technology that they keep secret from the outside world. It was fine. It was fine. Let's see. Keep the neon ice. Yeah, that's what she's doing. I have mixed feelings on Eureka. When it was good, it was great, but not always. Yeah, that's a problem. And often it's because there'll be a change of producer or a change of writing staff, and then it just goes sideways. That happened on the 3rd season of Sliders. All of those writers were gone except for one of them when I came on the show, because they just had driven the show into the ground. And when it was picked up by Sci-Fi Channel for season 4 and moved back to Universal Studios here in LA, they said, just fix it, make it work. And that's what I did. And my team did. So, yes, I love the Dark Star ship. Um, uh, I've seen it all, in Slide Cage is the only one I watch when rewatching it. Well, thank you. There was a role written for Armin Shimmerman in that episode as a character who says, "My favorite show is Beauty and the Beast, not the cartoon, but the live action one." And that was supposed to be an in-joke between me and Armin, because I wrote the last episode of the Ron Perlman Beauty and the Beast ever commissioned, and Armin played a character named Pascal on it, but we didn't meet at that point. And it was only on DS9 that I met Armin, and we became very good friends. So I wrote that role for Armin, but then there was a one-day overlap with him on my Deep Space Nine episode, Far Beyond the Stars, and so he wasn't available, and so the character still says the line, but it's a different actor, and it doesn't make any sense, but that's okay. Um, I love the Dark Star ship. Ron Cobb designed it, who also worked on Space Command, just gave us a ship design, and my friend Greg Jean built it. So they just auctioned it off, interestingly enough. Did any well-known TNG set pieces get trashed? Yes, I think a lot of them did. We'd have to talk to Mike and Denise Akuda about that. They would know. Mike Akuda actually designed a patch for Space Command that I'm going to be putting out shortly. And I want to talk to Mike about spaceship graphics, because we need screens with graphics, and I don't just want to use the standard ones that we've been using. I want to branch out. We're going to have a spaceship graphics contest. So if you know people who do spaceship graphics, please contact me. And again, remember our Kickstarter campaign, buy Space Command shares. All this stuff helps enormously. That's how we make this stuff work. Too many cooks in the kitchen sometimes. Often, I was very lucky, because the shows I was on staff on only had 3 writers on staff. And first of all of those writers have to be able to write. They have to really have the muscles, and you can get unanimity with 3 people. If you've got a staff of 20, you're just screwed. I mean, 10 of them can't write the show. There's going to be constant bickering and waste of time. It's not a way I approve of doing things. Armin would have been a lot of fun. Armin is great. And yes, of course, Armin had to play in Far Far Beyond the Stars. That was also created for him. I had the idea that we would do something where we would get to see his face. Same thing I did with Doug Jones on Space Command. When I met Doug, I said, "You have this amazing face. We're going to show it." And that's what we did with Dornevan, and I'm very proud of that. Armin will be playing Bob Picardo's grandson in Space Command. So he's in the episode Empire, and it takes place several generations down from Bob Picardo's role in Redemption in Space Command. So lots of fun to come, lots of fun ahead, and just wait. All will be clear. Now we'll probably be going till about 4 o'clock my time, so we've got another like 11 minutes. So if people want to ask questions or take a look at any of these other items that I've been showing you, it's just, the fun part is some of these things, a lot of these things, I know what they came from. I know who made them. Other things, you're just on eBay is a godsend. I got to tell you. I mean, when I saw this ray gun on eBay recently, a few weeks ago. I don't know what it was made for. I don't know what it's from, but it's great. And so, not much money, didn't cost a lot. Bang, there you go. And I recently got one of the costumes, one of the tunics from the original Space Patrol show from the early 50s that I'm a huge fan of. And we'll be using that in Space Command as well. So it's, very, very fun. What's the oldest item in here? Me. The oldest item in here is undoubtedly, most likely, it's the spacesuit, that middle one there. That's from Men in Space, a 1959 TV show. It was then used in the Twilight Zone episodes such as Death Ship and a lot of episodes of The Outer Limits. So it's really cool. I mean, let's see, 1959, that would be what, 40, 60, 64 years old. So, pretty good, pretty good. So, who would you hire as a villain? It's the way it works with the way I hire people is I I have many, many actors whose work I love, and then it's the question of I need to meet them. I need to convince them to do Space Command, which isn't that hard really, and then I write a role specifically for them. Armin's role will be somewhat villainous, not, but we'll understand him. Uh, but there's so many actors. There's so many actors I'd love to work with. You just kind of look around and see who you can get to, who wants to do it, and who's going to be part of the ensemble and who's going to be great to work with. Ferrante here, by the way, he played the starship captain at the beginning of JJ's Star Trek. He's the one who gets speared by the Romulan. He's great. He's our lead villain in Forgiveness, and he's just terrific. So I highly recommend him and that episode. But beyond that, I don't know. We'll see. Any fun stories about Robert Picardo? Sure. Bob Picardo is great, great, great to work with. He's a brilliant actor. His notes, his suggestions are wonderful. We're going to be seeing Bob again in Space Command, I should tell you. In fact, we shot some scenes with him for the Great Solar War, where he reappears. He's amazingly varied as an actor. Some actors are good at playing one thing. I think Leonard Nimoy really was good as Spock, and but everything else was sort of like, well, not my favorite. But Bob has great range. He's the only non-Jew I've ever seen play a Jew really well. He in Hail Caesar, the Coen Brothers movie, he plays a rabbi, and he's very, very funny in that. And of course, in Space Command, he plays a Muslim, and so he's playing a lot of different religions, none of which are his. But he's just collaborative, inventive, funny, warm, good-hearted, generous. I mean, I can't praise him enough. And same with Doug Jones, same with Armin. I mean, I don't tend to work with actors who are a problem because, again, why? We're all trying to make something wonderful. Let's not have any mm, needless clutter, you know. Uh, okay, I'll watch the Columbo with Nimoy. Sure, you bet. It's funny. Years ago when I was a teenager, like 13, they had something. My mom's boyfriend Eddie Leroy, the one who took me to meet Michelle Nichols when I was 10. Uh, Eddie Leroy was putting on something called the Teenage Fair. This is sort of the sort of the hippie era just starting, and Leonard Nimoy performed. This is again when Star Trek was on, and he performed Bilbo Baggins, and I actually took photos of him singing that song at the Teenage Fair, and uh, and it was just really, really fun to see him do that. He was dressed in a turtleneck and black slacks and no pointed ears for that performance, and he could almost sing, really, almost could. So let's see, Pamela Furden. I'll have to see who she is. I don't know that name. Uh, let's see. Why ruin your day with problem actors? Exactly, exactly, exactly. And let's see how we're doing for time. Yeah, we got about 6 more minutes, so feel free to ask questions. But you will see all of these spacesuits in Space Command, and we have a perk where you can actually wear one of them, and it can be your choice which one. I mean, so that's pretty cool. And well, Shatner, I've thought of that. I've thought of that. But Shatner is, a mixed bag. a mixed bag, and he's 91 or 92, Jesus. But I finally got a photo with him at the Star Trek convention, and that was great because I actually wrote for him when he did Tech War. I wrote several episodes of that, I think three. Mulgrew would make me so happy. I'm not a big fan of Kate Mulgrew. Um, when I went on the Star Trek Voyager set, I saw her and Jerry Ryan doing a scene, and I just thought Kate Mulgrew was very mannered. I thought she had like two poses essentially. How much green screen do you use per episode? Not a lot. We use some in, well, like for instance, if you watch Redemption, our first 2 hour episode, which you can watch on Mr. Sci-Fi, uh, the Paladin set, the bridge set we built, the Paladin corridor we built, the mining colony on Ceres we built, the Martian tunnels we built, the conveyor that goes through the tunnels in Mars we built, but we augmented it. The Martian, let's see what else. The restaurant in on Mars, we had some booths there, but we augmented that. Let me think what else. Doug Jones's ship, the alien ship he steals, the bridge that he walks across, and the two oblong panels are we built and then augmented that. So I'd say maybe 70%, 75% are sets that we built, and then we also shot in a real house, both inside the house and the back and the backyard of it and the front yard of it, the front driveway. That was all practical. So we built a lot of what we shot, and then even more so in Forgiveness. We have the Paladin Bridge. We've got the alien ship, which is massive. We have the space station hospital sets. We built those. The departure lounge on another space station. We built that. So there's a lot of practical stuff in Space Command. Um, the concept art of Doug Jones on the Kickstarter page reminds me of Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. Is that just a coincidence? Yes, just a coincidence. But thank you for noting that, Anne. Um, we a lot of Space Command is serendipity, where I'll meet somebody, I'll run into somebody. Yes, Massa, there's a spacesuit from Firefly and Serenity. It's this suit over here, not the helmet. The helmet I got elsewhere, but this suit, which is not spectacular, but again, it wasn't very expensive. I found it on eBay, and so you find this stuff if you just kind of search regularly. And again, if anyone comes upon any of this stuff for sale, spaceship sets, what I'm trying to do is get to a point where when these shows close down, they just give me all the stuff. Like I'd love Ron Moore to give me all the stuff from For All Mankind. I almost got the sets from the Orville a little while ago, but that fell through. But that would have been fun too. But again, it's sort of like I'm resourceful, and so whatever comes my way, I'll utilize. We have a giant fish that someone donated to me. It was from a movie called Frankenfish. It's this big rubber fish, and I keep swearing I'll find some use for it at some point, but haven't so far. But but again, please remember our Kickstarter campaign. We're at 59,000. It would be so lovely to click over to 60 and a little beyond. I won't breathe easy until we hit 70, because that will mean that no one person can pull out their pledge and kill us. Because if it goes but one penny below 60 grand, when that clock ticks zero, we don't get anything, and that'll be a real shame and set us back, unfortunately, because we are ready to shoot in the next few weeks. Any recommendations for multivitamins? You have great energy. Thank you. The reason I have good energy is because 30 when I was 35, I did a pilot for NBC in Thailand, and when I came back, I just wasn't well, and it's like I didn't have energy. My mind was very foggy. Doctors couldn't figure out what it was. Tried all sorts of stuff. My weight went down to 122, the lightest I've been as an adult. And my agent asked if I had AIDS, because I had gotten so thin. And so finally, out of desperation, Elaine had the idea that we would hire a personal trainer and I would try exercise. And it worked. So we've had the same trainer for the last 30 years and more. And he looks great. He looks like an Oscar. And we work out 3 times a week for 3 hours, running, weights, stretching, abs, the whole 9 yards. And it's kept me youthful. I don't feel my chronological age. Elaine and I combine our ages. We're 156, I think, at this point. Yes, 156, 146, 146. Yes, I shouldn't exaggerate, but I'm feeling good, and other than this little flu that I caught, but I'll be up and running at full bore very very soon. So Bob Burns has not given me any stuff from his collection. Sadly, I love Bob Burns. I wish there's certain people that I wish would never get old and die. You know, Ray Bradbury, George Clayton Johnson, Richard Matheson, Bob Burns, Forrest Ackerman, Greg Jean, Ron Cobb. I mean, these are such brilliant, unique, joyful uh, people that have brought so much to our lives. Ridley Scott, you know, he's like in his 80s now, I think. I mean, my God, still making movies, and they're very, very good movies by and large. And so, I mean, you can fault Alien Covenant, but my God, there's such great design in that film. There's great moments. You know, if it doesn't work overall, it still has a lot to take from it. Um, do I keep any standing sets always made up? Um, right now we have them up. I want to get all of these things working with screens and graphics, so you can just turn on a switch and you're ready to rock and roll. The Alien ship set is standing, and we're going to be doing our reshoots there and reusing that. So yeah, yeah. Right now we do have the space to have this stuff up and running, and we did that with the Paladin Bridge for a long time. It's been put away, but we'll be putting it back together very shortly for Great Solar War. So let's see. So I see we've hit 401. So no, I didn't get any of Forey's collection, but I did know Forey, and I went to his house a number of times. Let me think if I do have anything from his collection. I might have some like a book or something, or a photo, but that's about it. Nothing tangible. Um, but thank you so much for Mazo for the compliment. Because my point is, you know, like someone once asked when I finished the Twilight Zone Companion, they said, "Well, are you going to do a whole bunch of other books about TV shows?" And I said, "No, I wrote that book not because I wanted to write about other people's work. I did because I wanted to create my own shows, and that's what I went on to do. I learned from Rod and from Harlan and from Matheson and Beaumont and George Clayton Johnson and Roddenberry and all, and DC Fontana and David Gerald and on, how you make shows that will last, content that will last. And the fact that I wrote things 30 or 40 years ago that people are still watching and loving, means that I learned well from these brilliant, brilliant men and women. So um, thank heavens for them, and thank heavens for this, and thank heavens for you guys. So thanks for supporting me, both emotionally and financially. And if you want to buy Space Command shares, marksecret@gmail.com. Go to the Kickstarter campaign, throw some money our way, spread the word, subscribe to Mr. Sci-Fi, all that stuff. And we will see you next time. And thank you so much for being who you are and doing all that you do. And we will see you again very, very soon. And my spacesuits all say hello to you and goodbye. Talk soon. Bye, guys.